Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Ajulam. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new to my channel, you're welcome. Consider subscribing and don't forget to turn on the bell icon so that you get to know anytime I post new videos. So today I'm going to show us another way you can alter both the bodice and your sleeve pattern to make a drop shoulder party dress. So if you're interested, let's get started. So I'll be needing my bodice and sleeve pattern. Like I said, we're going to alter both of them. So I'll start with the bodice pattern. And I believe you already know how to draft a basic bodice pattern. But if you don't know how to do that, I'll also drop the link in the description box so you can check that out as well. So the first thing to do, this is the front and this is the back side of the pattern. Okay, this is the zipper. So now I will start with this front side. And the first thing I'm going to do is to come over to this shoulder slope, as you can see the way it is. Then I will extend it by 2 inches. So what I have here is for a 2-year-old. So all you need to do is to follow the process and then work with your own measurement. So like I said, now I will extend this point by 2 inches, following the slope as it is, and then I will extend it. So this is 2 inches. Just place your tape as I am doing. If you want, you can also make it 1.75 or even 1.5, depending on what you want the sleeve, the drop shoulder, what you want to cover on this sleeve area. Okay, so let me use 1.75 because I don't want it too much. So this is 1.75, and then I'll connect it straight, following the slope as it is, and then connect. I'm using another color now so you can see the alteration very well. So after doing that, I'll come down by 1 inch on this point. Okay, so this is it. Make sure that it aligns with what you have here. Okay, then I'll use a curve now to connect it to this new point that I have. Okay, you can see the way I am placing my ruler. You can also use your free hand to connect. Okay, now the essence of the 1.75 that I marked here is just like a guide for me to know where to mark the 1 inch downwards. Okay, so now I have it curved, as you can see. Then I'll come over to this neckline now and decide how wide or small I want this part to have. So all I'm going to do is to go up by 1 inch from this armhole line. I'll go up by 1 inch. If you want, you can also connect it straight to meet up to this armhole line. Because I'll be using a net, I'll be using this net on it. But if you want to use another fabric that is not transparent, all you need to do, you can, yes, if you're working with a fabric that is not transparent, you can just connect it straight to meet up to this armhole line. But if what you're working is transparent, you need to go up a bit so that the chest area will not be too visible. All right, so now I'll just go ahead and connect now. Here you can use your free hand, give it the curve the way you want your curve to be. I'm going to use my free hand to connect this. So I'm just taking it little by little to meet up to that point. Okay, and then this is what I have. So my net now is going to be this side. This is not like a yoke, so the net is going to cover up this area, while the fabric or the satin will cover only this side. So when you come to this side, you will notice that the sleeve now, the armhole is now short. So we're not going to leave this as it is. You can see it's very little. So all I normally do is to come down again on this point. I'll just come down by 0.75 just to extend the armhole area a bit. I want it to be very free on this end. Okay, but if you don't want it free, you want it very fitted, you can leave it as it is. But I want this to be very free so that the child can move her hand around. So I will just connect it back now to the initial armhole line. Okay, so now this is what I have, and you can see that the front is ready. Okay, now this is a new pattern that we have. So now I'll also show us how to do that for this back side. For the back pattern, like I was saying, you're going to make sure that whatever you use on this shoulder area should tally with the back one, so that by the time we join the both of them together, it will match very well. So I use 1.75, so I will repeat the same on this back side, and then follow the slope and connect it straight. Okay, I'm just repeating what I did on this front pattern. It's the same. So I'll come down again by 1 inch, making sure that it tallies with what you have, and then I'll curve that in to meet up to this shoulder line. Okay, and then for this back now, I'm going to connect it to meet up to this armhole line or the chest line here. So I'll just connect it to meet up to that point. So I'll just use my free hand and connect. You can see this back is very easy. So I'll go ahead now and cut on my fabric, then I will show you how to sew this, because it's very important to know how to sew this part. Okay, and then this area I'll also repeat the same by coming down by 0.75, and then I'll cut. After cutting, I'll place this now on my fabric and cut them out, making sure to add your sewing allowance in these areas that you cut. Remember that anytime you cut off anything on your pattern, you need to add the sewing allowance on that area. If not, you're going to have a very short bodice pattern. So my pattern is ready. I'll just go ahead now and cut it out and cut on my fabric like I just said, and then I'll show us how to sew this very neat. But before that, I'll show us how to alter the sleeve, because we're going to be adding the sleeve now, and the sleeve is going to come in here. Okay, so from here, this is where we're going to be adding the sleeve. So here is my sleeve pattern, as you can see, and I believe you already know how to draft a fitted sleeve pattern. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is very simple. The first thing I'm going to do is to minus whatever I used on this area. Okay, you know, this is already part of the sleeve. Normal, let me just place it so you understand. Now this is how my sleeve should be on the pattern, but because I extended this already, I need to cut this part off from my sleeve pattern, so that by the time I join the rest of the sleeve, it will match up with what I have on this armhole area. So I'm going to place it this way. Very easy to note where it ends on my sleeve. Okay, so that is the point. So now I'll be cutting this off. I'll just, you know, follow it that way and trace it back to this end. That's easy and simple as that. And then I'll use the slash and spread method, because this part is going to be, I'll gather this part, so I'll use the slash and spread method to do that. Okay, so now this is what I'll be using now as the sleeve. You can see what I have. This is off. So with what I have now, by the time we join it from here, it will match up with what we are working with. So this is very easy. Let me just quickly cut, and then I'll slash this as many as I can. I have a lot of videos on how to use the slash and spread method to create gathers or pleats. So I'm going to slash this as many as I can, and then spread it out and cut, so that by the time I gather, it will have enough volume that will fill up this space that we have here. So let me just quickly cut so we can sew. Right, after cutting everything, this is what I have. So this is the sleeve. You can see I've used my gather stitch to run it on both ends. You can see. So I'll just go ahead and gather it until until I have what will cover up the armhole area. So the first thing I did was to join the shoulders together. Okay, so here it is. I just joined the shoulders together, and I repeated the same on this other one that is going to serve as the lining. So I'll just place it now, making sure that the front is facing each other, and I will sew only the neckline area. This other side is going to be open because I'll be attaching the sleeve on this other side. So I'll just go ahead and stitch the back and front neckline, as you can see the way I am placing it now. So I'll just stitch it from this end. I'll leave 1 inch for my zipper allowance, and then I'm going to stitch it all the way around, and then I will trim up the my sewing allowance because I don't want it to be too much. So I'll just trim it down a bit if it's much, and then this side I'll leave it as it is. Then I will get the midpoint on this front side. So to do that, I will just I'm going to do it before stitching the neckline. So I'll just fold into 2 like this, and then notch the midpoint so that it will be easy for me to place the other parts of the bodice. Okay, this is very important. So now this is it. After notching it, now this is the midpoint. So I'll take the front. As you can see, the front is going to come here. I also notch the front midpoint so that it will be the way I want it to be after sewing. Okay, so this is the midpoint now. This will come in on this area. All right, but before this part, I'm going to sew the neckline first, and then I'll come back to show you how to join this part. I'll also gather this, so I will show you how to join the sleeve as well. So after joining that, this is what I have. All I did here was just to join one of these front on the net. So let me turn the back side so you can see it very well. You can see that the neckline is closed while this other part is open. So I just joined this. That is the front, and I did the same for the back one. So now I will take my lining and then close up this part neatly. So for the lining, you can see the way I am placing this area, and then I'll just take the lining and place it over like this and follow the same shape, and then stitch it all the way around. By the time you turn, you will see that you have a very neat inseam finishing. Okay, so after that, I'll just join the sleeve. Okay, now for the sleeve, this is where we're going to be joining that. This is the allowance for the sleeve. So here it is. After gathering it, this is what my sleeve looks like. So I'll just join it now from that point. You can see the way it is. I'll just adjust it so that it will cover up the allowance that I have on that armhole area. And you can see that this is very easy and simple. Okay, so all you need to do is just to follow the process, but work with your own measurements. So let me just quickly join the sleeve and show you how it looks. So this is what I have after joining the sleeve together, but before joining the sleeve, I attached the back lining and the front lining as well, and then I joined the sides together. So the sleeve is the last thing to do. So after doing that, this is what I have. You can see that it's looking so lovely. So this end now, on this hem area of the sleeve, I'll just use a little band to cover this up. But if you want to add lining to yours, you need to use your initial pattern to cut out the lining, so that after gathering, you now use your lining so that this part will not be open. But I'll be using a little band to cover up this, and then I'll close up the sleeve nicely. So this is how it is. All right, so this is how to alter your pattern and then use it to cut and sew a drop shoulder dress. So that is it for today. Please subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in my next video.